Every time you eat, you're casting a vote for which bacteria get to survive inside you. Right now, trillions of them are living in your gut, and if the only thing you ever feed them is processed food, almost every vote goes to the species working against you. This isn't about calories. This isn't about your weight. This is about what happens to the ecosystem living inside your intestines when real food disappears from your plate, day by day, week by week, until something breaks. By the end of this, you'll know exactly which week your gut lining starts thinning, which day your mood takes the first hit, and exactly what it takes to grow the whole system back. Picture your gut lining as a rainforest. Not a metaphor for mood, an actual functioning ecosystem. Hundreds of species of bacteria. A thick, living canopy of mucus protecting the forest floor underneath it. And a constant supply of rain, in the form of fiber, keeping the whole thing alive. This isn't just a metaphor. This is your gut on real food. Now picture what happens when the rain stops. Processed food isn't dangerous because it's flavorful or because it's convenient. It's dangerous because of what's missing. Strip away the fiber, and you strip away the rain. Add emulsifiers to keep it shelf-stable and smooth, and you're introducing chemicals your gut lining was never built to handle. This is the real difference between unhealthy and processed. One is about too many calories. The other is about starving an ecosystem while poisoning its water supply at the same time. Day 1 to Day 2. This happens faster than you think. Researchers at Stanford tracked exactly how quickly the human gut responds to a change in diet, and the finding still surprises people. Your bacterial makeup can start shifting within 24 to 48 hours. Not weeks, days. The fiber-loving species, the ones that produce short-chain fatty acids like butyrate, the actual fuel your colon cells run on, start sensing the drought immediately. There's no fiber coming in to ferment, so there's no fuel being made. Your gut lining, quite literally, starts running on empty. Day 3 to Day 5. This is where blood sugar enters the picture. Processed food digests fast because there's nothing left in it to slow it down. No fiber, no structure, just refined starch and sugar, hitting your bloodstream almost instantly. Compare that to real food. A vegetable, a piece of fruit, a legume. The fiber inside it acts like a physical cage around the sugar, slowing exactly how fast it hits your bloodstream. Processed food removes that cage entirely. What's left digests almost as fast as if you drank the sugar straight. Insulin spikes to deal with it, crashes a few hours later, and that crash is what sends you reaching for the next processed snack. But the real cost is happening underneath that cycle. Every spike of insulin is a signal to your gut that steady, fiber-fed energy isn't coming. The trees that depend on that steady rain start dying off first, and they don't come back overnight. Day 5 to Day 7. By now, the drought is showing. What replaces the dying fiber-loving species isn't nothing. It's the equivalent of invasive weeds, opportunistic bacteria that don't need fiber, that thrive instead on sugar, refined starch, and the very emulsifiers packed into almost everything processed to make it smooth and shelf-stable. Your gut isn't becoming empty, it's becoming a monoculture. And a monoculture, in any ecosystem, is fragile. It has no backup system. One stressor, one illness, one bad week, and the whole thing can tip. Day 7 to Day 10. If any of that processed food includes artificial sweeteners, and most of it does, there's a separate mechanism working against you. Researchers at the Weizmann Institute found that some artificial sweeteners can alter gut bacteria in ways that impair the body's ability to handle glucose, even though the sweetener itself has 0 calories. The logic your brain uses, 0 sugar equals 0 impact, doesn't hold up once you look at what's actually happening to the bacteria processing it. You can eat sugar-free and still be feeding the same monoculture you're trying to starve out. Week 2. This is where it stops being about bacteria and starts being about structure. Remember the canopy, that mucus layer lining your intestinal wall? It isn't passive, it's alive. Made of sugar-coated proteins your gut cells constantly secrete to protect the tissue underneath. In a healthy, fiber-fed gut, bacteria eat dietary fiber and leave that canopy alone. But when the fiber runs out and the invasive species are still hungry, they start doing something researchers first documented in landmark gut microbiome studies. They start eating the mucus layer itself. This isn't a slow fade either. Once bacteria switch to eating mucin instead of fiber, the canopy can measurably thin within days of the switch, not months. The canopy that was supposed to protect the forest floor becomes the meal. What's left is thinner than it should be, and the forest floor underneath, your actual intestinal wall, is more exposed than it's been in years. Week 2 to week 3. This is the phase where leaky gut stops being an internet buzzword and starts being an accurate description of an actual physical process. With the mucus canopy thinned and the tight junctions between your intestinal cells under chemical stress from common processed food emulsifiers, more of what's inside your gut than should ever cross over, undigested particles, bacterial fragments, start slipping into your bloodstream. Your immune system, which lives mostly in your gut lining, somewhere around 70% of it, notices immediately. It responds the way it would to an actual invasion: low-grade, chronic inflammation. Not the kind you feel like a fever, the kind that hums quietly in the background for months, wearing down the same forest floor a little more every single day. And it isn't only about what's getting in, it's about what stopped getting made. Butyrate, the fuel we talked about back on day 1, does something else besides feeding your colon cells. It helps train your immune system to stay calm, signaling to specific immune cells to stand down instead of overreacting. Lose the bacteria that make it, and you lose the signal telling your immune system when to relax. Your body isn't just under more attack, it's lost the messenger that used to call off false alarms. Now, the skeptics will say, "I eat processed food all the time, and I feel fine." And on the surface, you probably do. This is the part that makes it dangerous. Chronic low-grade inflammation doesn't announce itself. It doesn't feel like a crisis, because it isn't one, yet. It's a slow erosion, not a collapse. You don't notice a rainforest thinning tree by tree. You notice when it's already a clearing. Week 3 to week 4. By now, the damage stops being purely physical. Your gut produces the majority of the serotonin your body makes, using raw materials supplied largely by the same diverse bacteria that are currently being starved out. Fewer species, less of that raw material, less steady signaling along the gut-brain axis. That signaling doesn't travel through your bloodstream so much as through a direct cable, the vagus nerve, running straight from your gut to your brainstem, one of the most direct physical connections your body has. When the ecosystem sending signals up that cable gets less diverse and more inflamed, the signal itself gets noisier. This is a big part of why an all-processed diet doesn't just change your digestion, it can shift your mood and your energy too. The brain fog. The low-grade irritability by mid-afternoon. The crash that feels like it has nothing to do with what you ate 3 hours ago. It has everything to do with it. Your gut and your brain are on the same phone line, and right now, static is most of what's getting through. Day 30. You're not looking at the same internal landscape you started with. Lower bacterial diversity, a thinner protective barrier, a baseline hum of inflammation that wasn't there a month ago. If you could actually see it, a before and after scope of your intestinal lining, the difference wouldn't be subtle. None of this shows up on a bathroom scale. That's exactly why it's so easy to ignore. And exactly why it matters more than that number ever will. Here's the part that matters more than the warning. This is reversible and faster than most people assume. Step 1. Feed the rain back in. Fiber, from real vegetables, legumes, and whole grains, is the fastest way to start regrowing bacterial diversity. Aim for variety over volume. 20 different plant foods a week does more for your diversity than eating the same broccoli every night. Studies tracking gut recovery after a diet shift show measurable changes again within days, not months. Step 2. Bring in fermented foods. Yogurt with live active cultures, kefir, sauerkraut, kimchi. Even a few tablespoons a day is enough to start seeding new species directly, instead of waiting and hoping the old ones find their way back on their own. Step 3. Don't try to fix everything at once. Target the worst offenders first. Emulsifiers and artificial sweeteners are concentrated specifically in ultra-processed packaged foods. Check the ingredient label for anything you don't recognize, or a string of words longer than the food itself. Swapping those out first gives your gut lining an immediate break from chemical stress while you rebuild the rest of your plate around it. A quick note here. If you're already dealing with persistent digestive pain, blood in your stool, or unexplained weight loss, that's not a job for a YouTube video, that's a job for a gastroenterologist. This breakdown covers the general biology of a heavily processed diet. It isn't a diagnosis of what's happening in your specific gut. Your gut isn't just where digestion happens. It's the ecosystem quietly running underneath almost every other system in your body. Your immune system, your mood, your energy, your skin. Feed it a monoculture, and it becomes fragile. Feed it variety, and it becomes resilient again, faster than you'd expect. You don't need a perfect diet to start reversing this. You just need to let the rain back in. If you've noticed your energy or your mood shift after a stretch of eating mostly packaged food, tell me where you felt it first. Your gut, your brain, or your skin. I'll see you in the next one.